Hello. A student asked how to make a water surface for the city project. And the image you're looking at here, the surface looks nice. I like the color. The shoreline, the edges are like really weird just because I just threw this in. So anyway, let me show you how to make like a nice little pond or lake, reflecting pool, whatever you want to do for your city. So let me go to a new file here. First things first, let's make the water material. So making a new material, call it water. I made a whole bunch of waters earlier, so I'm going to call this, water 002. Okay, first thing you want to do, and the order of doing this it makes a difference. Enable the transparency channel. Leave brightness at 100%, that's cool. For refraction preset, hit the drop down menu and choose water, which is not a mystery. And the refraction parameter should go to 1.333, so that's good. Okay, next, enable the reflectance channel, and there will be a new tab in there called transparency, because we just made, because we were just messing around with the transparency parameter channel, I mean. Okay, click on the transparency channel. We're in reflectance. Click on the transparency tab. For type, let's choose Ward. And roughness, set that down to 2 or 3%. I'm going to go with 3%. So get that squared away there. We're still in reflectance channel. Click on Layers tab, and we're going to add a new layer. And we're going to make a Ward layer. And down here, we're going to open up Layer Fresnel. For the Fresnel, hit the drop-down menu, choose Dielectric. Let me pull this open. Under the Fresnel parameter, there's Preset. So hit the drop-down menu for Preset and choose Water Ice. I found Water Ice works just a little bit nicer in this layer. So that's the parameters you want for the new layer, the Ward layer that we just created in the reflectance channel. Next, enable the bump channel, and there's a texture drop-down menu. Hit the drop-down menu and choose noise. Once this field is populated here, click on it, and then 4 parameters down, it'll say noise. There's bunches of types of noise we can use here. So in the drop-down menu for noise, choose displaced turbulence, and we can just leave the parameters set at their default values. Now this will make a nice transparent texture that you could just put this on a plane and lay it on top of another color of a plane. But I'm going to add color to my. Oh, I forgot something. I'm going to go to transparency. I'm going to set brightness to about 80% because I was playing around with this earlier. I'm going to go 85 maybe, because I want the color to show up better, and you can mess around with your parameters for transparency if you don't like how this turns out. Okay, go to the color channel, and then I chose a green color. I'm going to look at my notes I wrote down. Okay, I had HS and V. I had the vibrance set down. So I had like this nice pale green. Okay, so those are the parameters I used. You make your water any color you want. If you want a nice blue reflecting pool or whatever, that's fine. So we're done with the material editor, but just to remind you, because I did not mess up, but I set something out of sequence. For your transparency channel, I have the transparency set down to 85% just because it picks up the color better, and I might go back and monkey around with that later. Refraction preset is water, and then reflectance is a big deal in your transparency tab in the reflectance channel. Roughness is 3%. the layer we created, where is it? Oh, there it is. Layer we created is Ward, and our Fresnel is set to dielectric, and our preset under the Fresnel is set to water ice. And then we got the bump channel going on with this displacement. Okay, so that's our material. Hooray. Now we have to make an object to apply it to. Make a plane. In this scale, this default plane is really teeny tiny, so I'm going to make my plane 3000 by 3000. Of course, yours will be whatever size you need, so let me bring my plane out here where we can see it. Whoop. What the heck happened? There it goes. Alright, so there's my plane. Let me name it right away in the object manager, water. Alright, now this is something new. In the deformer drop-down menu, we're going to choose Displacer. Put the Displacer object as a child of the water plane. Nothing happens. It's because we had to, with the Displacer selected, we have to go down yonder into the Attributes Manager, choose Shading, and Shader, hit the drop-down menu, and we're going to choose Noise. And you might see, you won't be able to see it on the screen you're looking at, but it does, it made a very, very subtle change there. Let me go to, see, I'm still at the Displacer object selected. If I go to Object, the height defaults to 10 centimeters. Let me show you if I, because this thing is a 3000 by 3000 object, the 10 centimeter height isn't really apparent. I'm going to set this to a really stupid value of like 500. And so when I set to 500, I get that goofball look. So I mean, so this does work. I mean, let me set it to 100. See, it gets all wrinkly. Okay. So that's the parameter. You want to go to the Object tab, and the height I found that worked pretty nice was 30. Okay, like that's, and you can change yours. That might even be a little bit too rough, maybe. Now that I look at it, maybe 25. So anyway, I'm not going to bore you with messing around with all these parameters. But anyway, for the Displacer object, the Object tab height you want to play around with, and the shading should be set to, the shader should be set to noise. Okay, and that's really the only two things you got to deal with the Displacer object. Okay, so we got something that looks okay. So let me get my water material that I created and drop it on to the water. And when I hit the, let me check my render settings so I don't mess this up. Let me turn off global illumination first. This is not going to look wonderful, okay, but it looks okay, but it actually looks better than I expected it to. But this will look a lot better if you have a sky, if it'll reflect a sky object and it'll have global illumination. So let me do that. Let me make one thing that I'm going to cover. You should have, I do have a video on physical sky, and you should have seen that already, but maybe you haven't. But anyway, so I'm going to hit for the environments where we get our floors and skies and all that stuff. Just to be annoying, I'm going to choose physical sky. And then I'm going to, my render settings, enable global illumination. Remember, you get that in effect. You choose effect, then you can find global illumination down here. So I'm going to enable global illumination so that the light of the sky will affect the scene. So when I hit the render thing here, in technical terms, render thing, yeah, that's what we call it, the render thing. When I render the view, it's going to take a while, so I'll just pause the video and then I'll come back. So let me hit this and I'll see you in a few seconds. Okay, so I'm back, and this looks okay, you know, but I think like probably I would go into, and I'm not gonna do all this, you know, I would probably like go into the material and go into my transparency and like maybe increase the transparency to maybe 90, 91, whatever, and see how that looked. And I'm not going to render it because I don't want to bore the heck out of you guys. Okay, so anyway, the reason why I just wanted to show you that with this water material reflecting a sky or clouds or something, it's going to look pretty cool. So you can play around with again, you would play around with the transparency and the color to get it to where you wanted it. So, because I think mine was a little bit dark and muddy looking, but that's all right. So the last thing to do is, now you can do a couple things. You can make like a nice geometric reflecting pool or something, or you could put like a border around this with different objects. Like for example, like a pool has like a wall around it. You could do that. If you want to make this a more organic shape, select the water plane. Oh yeah, I forgot something. One thing we can do, let me do this right now. Subdivision surface. I created a subdivision surface. I'm going to drop my water object into the subdivision surface, and the reason I'm doing that is to even out the spiky weirdness on the the displacer will cause like severe edges on the top of your surface. And since I'm talking and doing this at the same time, I forgot about that. So I got my water plane, my displacer, and it's dropped into a subdivision surface. Once again, I'll hit, just to see if there's any difference here, I'm going to hit render view, and I'll come back whenever it's rendered. Okay, I'm back, and yeah, that does look a lot better. So I'm sorry I messed up because it's really, really, really late. And so anyway, so I forgot, drop the water plane into a subdivision surface. Again, this color that I got going on here with this brown, it is not appealing at all. I would definitely brighten up the color, maybe to a brighter blue or something. But anyway, the surface looks great. All right, now, last thing. If you want, like I said, you can make like a geometric pool surrounded by like an edge or something, or ledges, or whatever you want to do. Or if you want to make this more organic, just select the water plane and then go into your object tab. And you don't want to edit this with 20 by 20 segments. That would be kind of a nightmare. I'm just going to make this 5 by 5 segments. And then I will make it editable. Go into point mode, and let me get my selection tool going on here, my live selection tool. So now, it's easy. All you got to, you can just pretty much just move your points along the X and Z axis. If you want to get fancy, you can, you could sink these points down into the plane like that if you want to, but you don't have to. That depends on what effect you're going for. So now that the plane is editable, it's no big deal. I can just make these nice gentle curves for my shoreline. So that is that. That's how you make a water surface.